Welcome to the local campaign. Thank you for joining us for this debate for the residents of Ward 14, Somerset Ward. We're going to introduce the candidates to you in just a moment. The municipal election is coming on October the 22nd. But first, let me go through the format for this debate. We are going to give each candidate 60 seconds, 1 minute, for an opening statement. We drew the order for those opening statements just a few minutes ago at random. After that, we'll proceed into a series of debates about important topics in Somerset Ward and throughout the city of Ottawa. In each case, I will start the debate by directing a question to one of the candidates. That candidate will have 45 seconds to answer the question on his or her own, and then we'll open it up to several minutes of debate from all the candidates. After that, once the debate is complete, we'll go back to the candidate to whom the question was originally directed, and he or she will have 30 seconds to wrap up on that topic. We'll move through a series of debates that way, and then we'll wrap up with closing statements, again, 1 minute in length, and in the reverse order of the opening statements. So let's meet the candidates who are here for the debate for Somerset Ward. They are Catherine McKenney, Arthur David, and Jerry Kovacs. There is a fourth candidate, Murdad Zopyrus, who is on the ballot and running in this election, but was not here for the debate. So let's get started with the opening statements. Again, 1 minute in length, and we'll begin with Catherine McKenney. Go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Catherine McKenney, and 4 years ago, I was elected as your city councillor in Somerset Ward. You put your trust in me then. We did many great things together, and now I'm back asking for another 4 years of working with you, with the community, on the things that we know matter to our neighborhood and the city to keep it healthy and sustainable and thriving. Affordable housing, good local transit, complete streets that keep all road users safe, development that respects our neighborhoods, good local thriving businesses, more trees, more parks and green space, and of course health and social services that meets the diversity of our ward. So on October 22nd, I hope you'll put your trust back in me for another 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next is Arthur David. Go ahead, you have 60 seconds as well.
Good afternoon, my name is Arthur David, and I'm proud to call Somerset Ward my home. But like any home, there's always room for improvement. It takes cooperation, good communication, and hard work to accomplish those tasks. And I intend to use those skills to address the issues that the people of Somerset care about. In speaking to the members of the community, it's been evident to me what those issues include. That means fighting the impacts of climate change with concrete and viable solutions, increasing affordable housing, supporting local businesses and families, and ensuring rapid and reliable mass transit. So on October 22nd, I invite you to vote for me as councillor, and together we can make our home better. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And finally, the opening statement from Jerry Kovacs. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for watching. Bonjour à tous, merci d'avoir regardé. My name is Jerry Kovacs. I am a candidate in Somerset Ward because residents and business owners want and deserve effective, proactive, and positive representation on City Council. I will be your strong voice on City Council as we grow a vibrant community together. I will stand up for you when it counts, for the services and programs that you need to be delivered in a timely, efficient, friendly, and cost-effective manner. We can provide excellent services in Somerset Ward that includes community-based policing, clean and safe parks, well-maintained streets and sidewalks, efficient and affordable housing and transportation. My intention is to serve the community, all of the community, by being accessible and available. I will always listen to the views and concerns of Somerset Ward residents.
All right, thank you. Thank you to all the candidates. Let's get into some debates now about the important topics, and I'll start by directing a question to Catherine McKenney. Are we moving quickly enough to reduce speed on residential streets? What else can we do in this area in the next few years?
Well, that's an excellent question, and one that is top of mind for most residents across the city, actually. But in the downtown, we're not moving quickly enough. We have areas of the downtown where we've got traffic calming measures, and we know that that works. But they take decades for the plans to become reality. We have to continue to, calm traffic on our streets. We've got some temporary traffic calming measures, but key to calming traffic is our road design. We have an obligation to design out danger, catastrophic injury, death out of our roadways. We know how to do it, and we have to continue every single opportunity.
Okay, it's open to everyone now on this topic.
You know, that's an interesting answer. But one of the most important things that the residents of Somerset Ward have been telling me is that you can have all of these calming measures, but they believe that enforcement is key to slowing down traffic and ensuring that motorists obey the rules of the road. I'll give you an example. I was at a home recently where someone said to me they have a problem with excessive speeding on their street, and they felt that what they needed were speed bumps. Just 1 or 2 speed bumps on their street to slow the traffic down. And I believe them because the people who live on that street are there day in and day out. They live there. They know what the traffic is like on their streets. And it's important for us as city councillors to listen to them, listen to their views, listen to their concerns. And as your councillor, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to listen to you because you know best what's happening on your street. You know best what you need on your street. You know best what's good for your street. And the most important thing that a city councillor can do is listen to you, help you solve problems on your street, and implement solutions that will make sure that those problems go away. Enforcement is the key. It doesn't matter what the speed limit is. If people are going to speed, they're going to speed.
I think just to build on that and to expand on Catherine's point too, over the last 4 years, a lot of great work has been done in maintaining the infrastructure, both of roads and cycling infrastructure in Ottawa too. But the population is growing, and it is growing at a rapid pace, and so we have to make sure we keep up with that demand too. There are a lot of programs that are in place right now to reduce speeding in the city, and I'm happy to say that we've seen a lot of good results that come out of them. Zero vision, for instance, is one that I would support. 30 kilometer per hour speed, and especially in areas that are sort of prone to having these sort of incidences. So I think we do have a lot of work to do, but again, a lot of infrastructure and maintenance work needs to keep going in that aspect for road safety as well too. Very paramount.
Well, while I wouldn't argue that enforcement is a part of the solution, we will not have the resources to be on every corner, and we know that. We know what works. We know what traffic calming measures work. We've seen it happen. We had several streets in the last 4 years that had speed humps put in place. We've had temporary traffic calming measures put in place, which have helped. We recently passed gateway traffic calming so that you can gateway an entire block for either 40 kilometers or 30 kilometers. Here in the downtown, people want 30 kilometers on the residential streets. But what is absolutely key is how we design our roadways. How you design your roadways will invite all users to use them, and it will keep drivers moving more slowly. We know that. It's been proven in many jurisdictions.
All right. Actually, you get the last 30 seconds on this because I asked you the question, so go ahead.
That was my last 30 seconds. Okay, I'll take another 30. You know what? The traffic calming and development are the two things that we hear about all the time across the city, really. And we've got a moral obligation to design out catastrophic injury and death on our roadways. Vision Zero is the only way to do it, and continuing to build those complete streets for all users.
Okay, thank you. Next question is to Arthur David. What should we be investing in affordable housing? Where should we be investing it? And what else can we do to address homelessness in Ottawa?
Sure thing. So I'm glad we're talking about this today because as we speak, there is a chronic homeless issue here in Ottawa too. The Housing First strategy needs to be continued and advocated for, and as a municipal government, we need to really support inclusionary zoning. If I were to be elected to the Office of Council, I would really push forward for a 30% of new builds to have affordable rental housing at the developer's expense. It's what housing advocates want. It's what's necessary in order to deal with this issue effectively and efficiently, and it's proven to work both socially and economically as well.
Okay, it's open to all of you now on the subject of affordable housing and homelessness.
So I'd like to address that on affordable housing. We do have a housing first policy at the city, but it's not robust. We have a housing and homelessness policy plan that again doesn't have real targets and measures. So you know, it's one thing to be aspirational and want to reduce homelessness, but you have to have those targets, you have to be able to measure them, and you have to report that out. We also, you know, in addition to an inclusionary zoning policy, which I work very closely with the former MPP, many of my colleagues met with the housing minister, and you know, to make sure that we advance that in a smart way so that we are getting the number of units affordable in our growth. But we can also, as a city, look at some of the things that we can do. And some of the things that we can do is providing land for housing providers, affordable, supportive housing providers, so that they're able to develop, especially in and around transit areas. It's why I brought a direction to council just a few months ago that was passed, that put together, that established an interdepartmental working group that is going to start identifying land in and around our light rail transit. The very people who need housing, who need affordable housing, are getting pushed out of the parts of the city where we have transit stations. We know that land and housing prices increase in and around those stations. So that is exactly where people need to live so that they have access to rapid transit and have access to affordable housing. Thanks.
Go ahead if anybody else wants to get in on this.
Targets are fine, but let's talk about reality. Let's actually talk about what's happening in Somerset Ward. You know, this city has a target of a minimum of 200 affordable housing units a year. But with 10,000 people on the waiting list for affordable housing, what that means is that it will take 100 years for all the people who are waiting for affordable housing today to get it. That's so much for having a target. That's the reality of the situation. What we need to do is have concrete action to build affordable housing starting today. And how do we do that? Well, first of all, the City of Ottawa lists on its website all the property that it has for sale. The developers in this city know exactly what the City of Ottawa is offering for sale. And they also know what the National Capital Commission is offering for sale. We need to develop partnerships. I live in community housing, CCOC. This city needs to develop partnerships with organizations such as CCOC to actually build affordable housing in this city. And not just a minimum amount, but just to start finding all the available land, and with the federal government and the provincial government, form partnerships to build homes in this ward.
Okay, we'll stop there. Arthur David, I asked you the question. You get the last 30 seconds on this.
Thank you, Mark. When we're talking about inclusionary zoning too, it's really important that we look at all aspects of homelessness as an issue here in Somerset Ward. What we also have to think about is a strategic way of approaching the problem too. And one solution is prevention programs to help with that too. One great project is the Upstream project, which currently doesn't have any supporters right now, but if I were to be elected, I would champion this program to help with this chronic issue.
All right. Let's move to the next question, which I will direct to Jerry Kovacs. It's a question about LeBreton Flats. What role should the city be playing in the redevelopment of LeBreton Flats, and should any public money from the city go into the project? You have 45 seconds.
We are very fortunate in Ottawa and Somerset Ward, more so than perhaps any other city in this country. Why? Because we have a number of levels of government in this ward. This is the national capital. Somerset Ward is the national capital of Canada. We have a federal government here. We have the National Capital Commission. We have a provincial government in Ottawa, in Ontario, and we have a municipal government. All four levels of government should be working in partnership to develop LeBreton Flats. And they should be partners not only financially, but in terms of providing infrastructure, because that's what the municipality will be doing at LeBreton Flats, providing the infrastructure needed for the development.
Okay, it's open to all of you on LeBreton Flats now.
I'll take that. You know, with LeBreton Flats, we've had this discussion, well, for decades, but certainly, you know, as we moved into this phase for the last 3 years, and in many, many conversations with community associations, with communities, with people, what people in Somerset Ward want to see with LeBreton Flats is affordable housing. We have got to ensure that there is a sufficient amount of affordable housing. Mixed use housing, mixed income housing, so rentals, on top of condos. We also have to ensure that we have sufficient green space. We cannot grow green space. We don't have enough in the downtown. This is a perfect opportunity for us to be able to access some new parks. So we need that green space, but we need it in the early stages. LeBreton Flats, won't get fully developed for decades. We cannot wait decades for our parks and green space at LeBreton Flats. And what is critical at LeBreton Flats as well is the traffic impacts on the existing communities. LeBreton Flats abuts, the rest of the ward. It abuts a very busy and growing and thriving part of the downtown with Dalhousie area and Hintonburg. And we have got to ensure that we do it right. We've got a blank slate. So in terms of traffic and transportation, we cannot have negative impacts on the rest of the downtown and the rest of the city. Those are the three things that I've always insisted on. And in terms of investment into LeBreton Flats, the City of Ottawa, I've said it before, I've said it publicly, that I don't support city dollars going into brownfields that other levels of government own. So this is federal land, so I would not support any of the City of Ottawa taxpayer dollars going in to clean up LeBreton Flats. Thanks.
But when we clean up the land, everyone benefits, because we all live here. We all live on unceded Aboriginal territory, and regardless of who pays for it, in the end, there's only one taxpayer, you and me. When you pay taxes, you either pay taxes federally, provincially, or to the municipal government, which then is passed on to you if you're a renter. Cleaning up the environment benefits everyone, regardless of who pays for it, number one.
Okay,
Number two,
I'm going to jump in because you get the last 30 seconds, and Arthur David hasn't spoken on this issue yet.
I just wanted to clarify too that yes, we do have a great chance here at LeBreton Flats for development and for affordable housing, and as well as the environment too. This is a chance that we probably won't see again in the lifetime, in our lifetime. So it's a great chance to really double our efforts, to focus on these really important aspects of development. And if we don't do it right this time, we won't get a chance to do it again. So it's really important that we get it right this time.
Okay, thank you. Jerry Kovacs, you get the last 30 seconds.
Well, as I said, we need a city councillor who can develop partnerships and relationships with others in all levels of government to do the things that we need for Somerset Ward, do the things we deserve, do the things that we require here to build a vibrant community. And so to simply say, well, I'm opposed to this level of government paying for it, but somebody else can pay for it, in the end, the taxpayer pays for it. So does it really matter? As long as we have a clean, green, healthy, and urban environment.
Okay, thank you. Let's move to the next question now, and I will direct this to Catherine McKenney. We've seen significant increases in the heights of some buildings in Ottawa, particularly in Somerset Ward. That's been done in the name of intensification and building up around transit stops. But in your view, how high is too high?
You know, it's a very interesting question. Height is neither good nor bad. What happens on the ground is the most important thing. So it's a public realm, it's that public space. When we look at our community design plans, if you take, the 65-story building that was approved at 900 Albert, I think what happened there is we had a height limit, and council agreed to double the allowable height. It did not increase any density. There will be the same number of people living there with 65 stories as there would have been at 30. But what was most egregious is what happened on that south side with a loading zone. We will never be able to meet our neighbors on that space.
Okay, it's open to everyone now on the subject of development and heights.
I was at the Planning Committee meeting, and I also was at the City Council meeting in July where these discussions took place. It is no surprise that this development is occurring in LeBreton Flats. Since I came to Ottawa 40 years ago, that was a wide open field. We all knew there was going to be development going on there. There's an official plan, there's a secondary plan, there's a community design plan, and 65 stories is too high. The people in that neighborhood who worry about the character of the neighborhood, the quality of life there, the traffic that's going to come there as a result, are all telling me that 65 stories is too high. What happens on the ground is very important, but in order for what happens at 65 floors, it has to start at the ground, actually below ground level. So 65 stories is too high, 45 stories is too high, and the tragedy of this is not the fact that council's made this decision, it's the fact that no one told anyone before that a community design plan is only an advisory document. City Council only has to follow the official plan and the secondary plan. The design plan is just a policy document. And as councillor, one of my roles will be to explain people not only the process of planning and development and the official plan, which a new official plan will be coming as soon as next year, as soon as the discussions start. But the role of the community design plan so that all those people who spent all that time, all that energy, all of their efforts to come up with that design plan aren't left disappointed in the end because they're thinking that the height restriction is 30. And that City Council won't come along and say, let's make it 50, 60, 80. If height is not the issue, why doesn't the councillors of Somerset Ward stand up right now and say, let's have a 100-story building there, or 110, or 125?
Definitely think the height is one issue, but we also have to look at what actually is being built within the building itself too. So we're looking at single unit homes too, and what that says, and what actually I've heard a lot from speaking to the community is that a lot of single unit homes means one or two people probably living in that home. So what does that say about the sort of community we're inviting over to expand in our ward too? We're really focused on families, and we've talked about affordable housing too. So a lot of those people won't even be able to afford housing within that development too. So it's really important that we look at what it is exactly we're inviting into the ward as well too. Because again, it's a great opportunity, but we need to get it right. And to get it right, we need to engage properly with every single stakeholder out there.
Okay, we can stop there. Catherine McKenney, I asked you the question, so we can give you the final 30 seconds on this.
Okay, thank you. So the Bayview Station secondary plan was actually, community design plan was actually a secondary plan. It actually was embedded into our official plan. And what council did was they just voted on a new plan. So it's wrong. We cannot continue to have this happen. When we have height limits, we have to respect them. When we have guidance on what the community expects on the ground in terms of that public space, we have got to respect those secondary and community design plans.
Okay, thank you. That wraps up the debate portion of our telecast. We're going to move to the closing statements now. And once again, we're going to do those in the reverse order of the opening statements. Each candidate will have 60 seconds, 1 minute, to make some final comments to you. And we will start with Jerry Kovacs. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Growing a vibrant community is a collaborative team effort. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes effort, enthusiasm, and dedication. The most important thing that I can do as your city councillor is to listen to you. The most valuable thing I can give you as your city councillor is my time. My commitment to you as your city councillor is to do both of these things, everywhere, anytime, and anywhere. My legal education and experience in municipal land use and planning law are a distinct advantage which will enable me to effectively represent you. I am not a government bureaucrat. I am a lawyer, a volunteer, a community activist, and a longtime resident of Somerset Ward who wants to build relationships and get consensus and to achieve results for the residents of Somerset Ward. Let's create a vibrant, safe, inclusive community, clean and green.
All right, that's time.
Please
Thank
join
you.
me in doing this.
Next up is Arthur David. You have 60 seconds as well. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you to the other candidates as well for this valuable discussion. We've heard a lot of ideas and promises in this debate, and we'll continue to hear them in the weeks ahead. But now you have a choice. Over the last 4 years, we've seen climate change have bigger impacts on our city and on our ward. The affordable housing is reaching a crisis point, and better services are needed for people at risk of poverty and homelessness. These issues require adaptable policies which have been lacking in the last 4 years. I have a different vision in our ward. I want to put forward tangible and innovative solutions to fight climate change. I want to support small businesses and provide services for those in need. I also want to ensure property owners that they actually have a say what gets developed and built in their own backyard. So if I have the privilege to be your councillor, I promise not only to listen to your voices, but together we can work together and make sure that Somerset continues to be a thriving community here in Ottawa. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And finally, Catherine McKenney, you've got a minute as well.
Thank you, and I also want to thank my fellow candidates for being here today and for the debate. I am, looking towards at another 4 years where we are going to have to make some pretty difficult decisions. And if we look back on the last term of council, there were two budgets in particular that I could not support. I did not feel that they adequately met the needs of a growing city and the downtown. For something as simple as an extra 0.5%, we would have had an extra $25 million in our operating budget today. And we know what that would do. We know what $25 million, it would help us to build more affordable housing. It would help us to clean our sidewalks and do proper winter maintenance. It would help us to have better local transit. And it would help us when we are looking at health and social services and those emerging needs in our community.
Okay. Thank you to all of the candidates for being part of the debate for Somerset Ward, and good luck to you throughout the rest of the campaign. I want to remind you that Election Day is October the 22nd. That's when you can vote throughout Ottawa, and you'll be able to watch live election results on Rogers TV and also listen to them on 1310 News starting at 8 o'clock on election night. I hope you can join us then. Thank you for watching.